You ever wonder why we're so divided on what's right and what's wrong? I mean, it really feels like we're living in completely different moral universes sometimes. But what if every single moral conflict, from little arguments with your family all the way up to huge political battles, what if they all stemmed from the exact same root? Well, today we're going to dig into a really powerful theory that claims exactly that.
Oh man, we have all been there, right? You're in a heated discussion with a friend, a relative, or maybe you're just watching the news, and you just cannot wrap your head around where the other person is coming from. It feels less like a simple disagreement and more like you're speaking two totally different languages.
And when that happens, what do our brains do? We jump to some pretty unflattering conclusions. We start thinking, that person must be completely illogical, or, maybe they just don't have good values. Sometimes, if we're being honest, it can feel like they're actively, purposely choosing the bad or evil option. But what if all those assumptions are just completely wrong? What if there's a single, surprisingly simple principle that explains why everyone, from your next-door neighbor to your political arch-nemesis, feels so passionately about what they believe is right?
See, this isn't about who's got the better reasoned argument or who's read more philosophy books. The research we're diving into today suggests that we've been looking for the answer in all the wrong places. The real answer is something way more primal. It's a built-in, intuitive feeling, a universal gut reaction that, believe it or not, drives all of our moral judgments, whether we even realize it's happening.
Okay, so here it is. It's called the harm-based theory of morality. And its core idea is, it's radical in just how simple it is. Every single time we call something wrong, what our brain is actually saying is, I perceive that this thing causes harm. That's it.
I mean, just stop and think about how huge that claim is for a second. It's not saying that some of our morality is about harm. It's saying all of it is. The research behind this suggests that liberals, conservatives, everybody in between, we're all using the exact same moral hardware.
So if we all have this shared foundation, how in the world does it actually work? Well, let's take a look under the hood at our brain's built-in threat detector and see how we really make these moral choices.
The thing is, you don't see a situation and then sit down to run some logical calculation. Nope, your brain's threat detection system, it's like a smoke alarm. It just kicks in automatically. Morality is a gut reaction. It's an intuitive sense that something is off, that some kind of line has been crossed.
And it all happens in a split second, totally automatically. We feel first and we think second. So our brains are constantly scanning the world for threats. When one is detected, boom, an emotional response gets triggered. That feeling is the moral judgment. And it's only after that judgment is already made that our logical brain comes in to try and find reasons to justify what we already feel deep down.
Okay, right about now, you might be thinking, hang on a second, not all moral issues are about someone getting physically hurt. And you know what? You're absolutely right. This whole theory only clicks into place if we expand our definition of harm, way beyond just simple physical injury. So on the one hand, you've got the traditional old-school view, harm is getting punched, it's direct physical injury. But the expanded, more accurate view includes threats to things that feel just as real and just as painful, threats to our dignity, to our group's identity, to social order, and to the values that we hold sacred.
This right here is the whole spectrum of what our brains can perceive as harm. So for example, one person might see a new law as a direct threat to their nation's identity and social order. That feels like a harm. But another person might see that exact same law as causing harm to the dignity and safety of a vulnerable group of people. See? They're both reacting to a perceived harm, and both of those reactions trigger a really powerful moral response.
This is a fascinating theory, for sure, but what's the actual real-world payoff? This is where understanding this single root of morality becomes an incredibly practical tool, one that can actually help us bridge some of these massive divides we see everywhere.
And this is the big one. The person you disagree with so strongly, they probably aren't evil or stupid. They aren't ignoring harm. In fact, they are laser-focused on a harm that maybe you don't see or that you just don't weigh as heavily. They are genuinely trying to prevent a harm that is just as real to them as your concerns are to you.
Realizing this gives us a powerful new tool. So instead of getting into a battle over who's right and who's wrong, we can go on a different kind of mission. A mission to understand what the other person actually sees. So, what are the actionable steps here?
All right, here's a little guide from the source material. Instead of just launching into your argument, start by asking a genuine question. Hey, can you help me understand what harm you're worried about here?
Then, take a second to recognize that your own position is also based on a gut feeling about harm. And this is crucial. Don't dismiss their concerns. Just because you don't feel that threat doesn't make it any less real for them. The common ground is that you're both trying to prevent something bad from happening.
Look, using this framework isn't some magic wand that's going to make everyone suddenly agree. That's not even the point. But what it can do is transform a totally fruitless argument into a genuinely productive conversation. It helps you replace that feeling of contempt with curiosity. And honestly, that's a huge step forward.
So the next time you feel that flash of moral outrage bubbling up, just pause. Ask yourself, and maybe even ask the person you're disagreeing with, this one question. Because shifting the focus from who is right to what harm do you see, well, that just might be the key to understanding not only them, but ourselves a whole lot better.